Hello, and if you're watching this, you must be a family member who would do well to learn from this. And so, I love you, and here you go. I'm going to show whoever's watching this the Windy Cross. I plan to show this to both of my sisters and at least one of my nieces, probably the other one later on if this video still exists, because the youngest out of Katie's children is also magical. She might not have exhibited the symptoms all that publicly, but she is a magical being too. Here we go. So I usually set the cloth into a diamond formation. This is very important. That's not for nothing. See, this is all about, well, not all, I mean, almost all about conserving space, but like I had said before, it is also so things don't get blown away. So the Celtic cross is pretty much the same thing. It is all the same spots, but more compact. So here we have the general situation that influences your life. Now, that's one thing that's a little bit different. They say general situation, and this is what influences it. These are the same card now. These two are read together as if they are one card. The question or questioner gets put in about halfway through. Same for the past. But of course, you would normally want to use two hands. The present. Ugh, here. This is practically impossible with one hand. And you can see where I'm going with this. The future. You just put that underneath. So, as you can see, this is the linchpin for it all. This is the place where you put the weight. Doorway from the present to the future. Home life. Hopes and or anxieties. And the overview. Let's see, practically impossible with one hand. There we go. Okay, so now with this, you can just put a little bit of weight. Oh, let's not use the tequila. That's still cold. Yeah. And put a little bit of weight in the middle if you're outdoors. That's if you don't need your hands. Otherwise, if you don't want to use your hands, if your hands are being occupied. Otherwise, put your hand right here. Once you know which two are in the middle, you don't really need to look at it. Put your hand right here. Draw energy out of the cards. This will give you health, vitality, strength, and it will give you great, uncanny accuracy when reading the cards. The energy that you pull out is information, the same information that the querent put into the cards. That information bubbles up through your subconscious and helps you to read. So, a little bit of extra information. The overview is also called summary or advice. Doorway is also called bridgeway or pathway. People will ask you what this means. It's the door from the present to the future. This next part here is actually kind of cool because it's a bit showy and people tend to, oh, here we go. People tend to enjoy this part. So when you're when you're done with the initial reading, ask them, do you have any questions before I go forward? They might need you to clear something up. Usually for me they don't, but they do sometimes. When they're done, take all of the cards away except for these and tell them, this next part, you can draw extra cards upon your advice, future, and doorway. These are completely optional, but if you want them, you can have more. They're said to enhance the reading. This is something to enhance, bring more clarity. Really, the real point is to see if the advice the tarot has given them has changed the future. They can have all three. They just have to pick which one first. If they don't want any of these, or if they just want one or just want two, that's totally fine. This is completely up to them. And when they ask you how much more is it going to be, no extra charge. This is all included in the initial reading. This is a part of this is just the reading. This is still the continuation of the reading. This is a nice presentation at the end. It makes them feel like a little something extra is going on, which actually it is. And there we have it. That is the layout for our family tradition. It is the Windy Cross and the 3-card significator. Speaking of significators, I don't know if you've read this or not, but when somebody is shuffling and a card randomly falls out, that is called a significator. You put that up there, and you read that after you've read the very last card, the 10th card, the advice. Now, if you're doing the extra cards at the end, the extra 3 cards, like we just saw, then, and somebody's got a significator, you also can put an extra card on that significator if they want it. Now, 4 is the limit for me. 3 is probably a better idea. But regardless of those details, it is just one card upon the significator if you have a significator. If you have, say, like 2, 3, 4, whatever, you still just read one. Also, when you've got more than one significator, you want to read it as a continuous sentence. Here's an example. Let's just say these 4 fell out. So for this person, it would say that, well, okay, so I don't know what definitions you guys are using, and really, the definitions, you can just, like I said before, you can just use whatever. It's more about a personal relationship between you and the cards, the accord that you strike. So for this definition, for this significator layout, it would be gaining in popularity has kept you from letting go of pain from the past, which even though you are doing really great networking for this very difficult project, that's what that would mean. Were that a real reading? Which, honestly, this kind of seems like nonsense, really, those random cards. But anyways, I hope that this helps, and when and if you ever do make money doing tarot doing tarot readings and helping people, this layout and that extra stuff at the end is from our family, and I thought I wasn't going to be passing this on to anyone. I'm so glad that I'm passing it on to women in my family. I've given this to a few students. I don't know if they're going to stick with it or not. They have my definitions as well. So, anyways, there you are, and I love you all. Bye.